Enzo Francescoli Uriarte is a former Uruguayan football player. Due to his elegant style of play, Francescoli was nicknamed El Príncipe, Le Prince, and El Flaco, due to his slender frame. He played 73 times for the Uruguay national team between 1982 and his retirement in 1997, making him the most capped outfield player in Uruguayan international football at the time. He is regarded as one of the greatest players of Uruguay, perhaps the greatest to have never played for the two biggest clubs in the country. He was known for his classic and elegant style, like El Príncipe, in reference to Hannibal Ciocca, a former Uruguayan player from the 1930s and 40s. He later was the only Uruguayan included by Pelé in the FIFA 100 list, and was chosen by the International Federation of Football History and Statistics as the sixth greatest player of his country and 24th of South America in the 20th century. A former attacking midfielder, he was considered an elite playmaker in a decadent period for the Sled. With the Uruguay national football team, he participated in 2 World Cups, in 1986 and 1990, where Uruguay were defeated in the round of 16 on both occasions, after qualifying for the second round, in both cases, as one of the best third-place teams in the first round. In his later career, Uruguay failed to qualify for the World Cups of 1994 and 1998. Altogether, he played in 8 World Cup matches, winning only 1, against the then very inexperienced South Korea, and only 1-0. One of his greatest triumphs, while wearing the Celeste jersey, was saving the team in the 1989 Copa America. Francescoli played in 4 of the 5 games, winning 3 of those, and helped Uruguay to reach the final round with his performances, losing only to Brazil, who had the home field advantage. The Uruguayan team placed second overall in the tournament, with Francescoli scoring the first and last goals for the Celeste. Francescoli admired his rival Argentina, where he felt more appreciated than in his own homeland, where none of his 3 titles were much celebrated. In neighboring Argentina, where he now lives, he played for the club River Plate, being one of the biggest fans of the club, with whom he played for many years. He was the leading scorer and a key player for the club's second Copa Libertadores triumph, and also won a total of 5 Argentine titles in the 6 years in which he served for the team. He later enjoyed success with 2 teams while playing in France, despite the bad results of his first French club, Racing Paris, and his ephemeral passage with his second French club, Olympique de Marseille, where his performances proved decisive as the team won the title. Club career. His official debut was with the Uruguayan team Montevideo Wanderers. He played several years for River Plate of Argentina, where he won 5 league titles and the Copa Libertadores in 1996 in his 2 spells with the club. He also played for the French clubs RC Paris and Olympique de Marseille, and the Italian teams Cagliari and Torino. South America. Montevideo Wanderers. As a fan of Peñarol, Francescoli nearly started his career on Oro Negra, where he was well regarded after a tryout. However, unimpressed by the conduct of the team, where he spent more time watching than playing, he quit the club. Despite another successful tryout with one of the greatest South American clubs of all time, Argentine side River Plate, whom he would later join in 1983, he chose to join the football team at Salesian College while completing his studies, winning 5 collegiate championships during his time with the team. In his last year of high school, he received an offer from his hometown club, the Montevideo Wanderers, after having been scouted extensively by the team, along with several others. He postponed joining the team, however, as he desired to stay committed to school and graduate. In 1980, he debuted with the Wanderers' first team, also known by the nickname the Bohemios, earning the best seasonal result since their fourth and final national title in 1931, earning a second-place finish. Besides his elegant conduct and style of play, which would earn him the nickname El Príncipe, another habit he developed was to chew gum during games. Chewing caused him to salivate, thus eliminating dryness in his mouth. He stated that he became so dependent on the habit that he did not feel right when he did not have any gum before games. In 1980, the club finished third in the continental competition. In the Uruguayan Primera Division in 1981, Francescoli performed well for the team, finishing behind only Peñarol and Nacional, again succumbing in the finals. Still, months later, in February 1982, he made his debut for the Uruguay national team. Later that year, he made his debut in the Libertadores, ironically after his worst result with the Wanderers in the national championship, a fifth-place finish, vying for a place with his team in the 1983 Copa Libertadores. Enzo and his team, which included other notable players such as Jorge Barrios, Luis Alberto Acosta, and Raúl Esnal, and Ariel Krasowski, had a respectable season, finishing first in the group, tied with the powerhouse El Nacional, and were only eliminated from the tournament in the quarter-final playoff match. River Plate. After witnessing Francescoli's performance in the 1983 Copa America, River Plate signed him later that year for $310,000, in what would be one of his best contracts. His start here, however, was irregular and peculiar. The team finished the Metropolitan Championship lower than it had performed due to complex political maneuvering and regulation changes, promoting instead one of the Big Five Argentine teams, San Lorenzo. By today's method, River Plate would have finished 2 positions above where it did that season. The following year, Francescoli was largely passed up and was unable to show his potential, splitting time with other players and often never touching the field. He eventually saw more playing time towards the end of the season when the team made the national championships, where the team reached the final, but was defeated 3-0 by Ferro Carril Oeste, in part thanks to a monumental performance at the Núñez. In the Metropolitan Uruguayan Championship, the team scored the most goals, but only finished 4th in overall points, with champions Argentinos Juniors winning the championship instead. Nevertheless, Francescoli was voted the best South American footballer of 1984 for his performances for River Plate and the Uruguay national team, featuring alongside players such as Nelson Gutierrez and Antonio Alzamendi, among others. He received an offer from América de Cali, later found to be funded by the Cali cartel, which was doing well that year, and would go on to become the Copa Libertadores champions between 1985 and 1987. However, eager to excel with River Plate, Francescoli opted to stay in Núñez. Although the team did not win the championship in 1985, Francescoli was officially named the best player in Argentina, and was the first foreign player to be given the honor. Francescoli finally won the Argentine title with River Plate the next season, claiming the 1985-86 championship, and ending the season as the top scorer with 24 25 goals, 3 of which came in a frantic 5-4 shootout victory against Argentinos Juniors for the championship match qualifying for the Copa Libertadores. In January 1986, in the final round of the championship, he scored his most famous goal, a decisive bicycle kick, which gave the team a 5-4 victory over the then-respected Polish team, which participated in the tournament organized by the Big Five Argentine clubs that season. After winning the title, Francescoli represented Uruguay at the 1986 World Cup. However, Uruguay were defeated by Argentina, who subsequently won the next 5 games to capture the World Cup. Following the World Cup, Francescoli moved to Europe and was signed by a First Division French league team, Racing Paris, newly promoted from the French Second Division. Nantes was willing to pay $2.5 million for his contract, but River Plate's president at the time, Hugo Santilli, bet that the star would fetch a greater price after Copa Europe in France. Francescoli began his European career with Racing Paris in 1986, a long-established team from Paris, which had been in a slump since the 1950s and had recently come into a rivalry with its growing neighbor Paris Saint-Germain, which incidentally had won the French title the season before. Still, automotive company Matra decided to sponsor the team, which resulted in the name being changed to Matra Racing in 1987. Seeking to dominate the 1993 League One, the domestic cups, and qualify for the UEFA Champions League, automobile company magnate Jean-Luc Lagardère later provided funding to the club, allowing the team to sign footballers Luis Fernandez, Maxime Bossas, Thierry Tusso, Pierre Lebowski, David Ginola, Sonny Siloy, Eugene E. K. and another Uruguayan, Ruben Paz. In Francescoli's first season, the team managed to finish 13th overall, in a large part due to Francescoli's 14 goals. He was the top scorer of league that season. Francescoli became a team idol and in 1987 was elected the best foreign player in France. For the 1987-88 season, the Portuguese coach Artur Jorge, who had previously won the European Champions Cup, was brought to the team. Francescoli would later describe Jorge as the best with whom he had worked throughout his career. Matra had been struggling to reach the top of the table, alternating between third and second place from the second half of the season onwards. However, after a series of games, the team stood 11 points behind Monaco. Francescoli scored 8 times in the league, finishing once again as the club's top scorer. It was during this period that he received an offer from Turin club Juventus, due to the untimely retirement of its captain and star player Michel Platini in 1987, although he ultimately refused the offer. Francescoli finished the 1988-89 championship as the club's top scorer for the third consecutive season, also saving the team from relegation. The subpar season of Matra did not prevent him from being seen as a star worldwide. In March 1989, he earned a spot on the Uruguayan international team that played against the Brazilian national team in an international friendly in Brazil that marked Zico's retirement, scoring one of his team's goals in a 2-1 victory. Domestically, however, he had suffered several disappointments, and was frustrated by his team's lack of success in the French Cup. In the 3 years he was there, he never made it into the top 8 of the tournament with the time. Racing soon filed for bankruptcy and fell out of the first French league, losing the spot to the financially sound cross-city rivals Paris Saint-Germain. Francescoli transferred to Marseille in 1989. He spent only one season with the club, where he won the 1989-90 French Division 1 title, scoring 11 goals in 28 appearances, and grabbed the attention of an important fan, Zinedine Zidane. Francescoli was sorely missed on his former team Racing, which, in his absence, was unable to avoid relegation. Ironically, Francescoli faced his former club in the semi-finals of the French Cup. Paris ended up winning the match, although under odd circumstances. With 8 minutes remaining, Francescoli scored a goal which would have tied the match, although it was disallowed due to a technicality, and Marseille eventually lost the match 2-3. In the final, Paris were defeated 2-1 by Montpellier HSC. Francescoli also helped Marseille to the semi-finals of the 1989-90 European Cup in Italy. After the 1990 World Cup held in Italy, in which Uruguay had faced the hosts in a round of 16 elimination, Francescoli moved to the Italian Serie A, and along with international teammates Jose Oscar Herrera and Daniel Fonseca, was signed by Cagliari Calcio. He initially struggled to find form with his new club, playing in a deeper midfield role, as Cagliari fought against relegation during his first 2 seasons. Due to his deeper playing position, Francescoli's goal-scoring output suffered, and he was far less prolific, as he totaled only 4 goals during the 1990-91 season, and 6 goals in the 1991-92 Serie A season, helping Cagliari to avoid relegation on both occasions. Cagliari Calcio also did not fare well in the domestic cup, being eliminated in the first round of the tournament. His third season in Italy was by far his best. In the Coppa Italia, he scored 3 goals before the team was eliminated in the quarter-finals against Fabio Capello's Milan side, who conquered the league title that year. In Serie A, Cagliari earned a surprising 6th place, earning a spot in the UEFA Cup, with Francescoli scoring 7 league goals, his personal best in a single Serie A season. In total, Francescoli managed 17 goals in 98 league appearances with Cagliari. Due to his key performances, he is regarded as one of the club's greatest ever players, and was included in the Cagliari Hall of Fame, and in the club's best ever starting She. In 1993, Francescoli accepted an offer from Turin and moved to Torino FC, a recent champion of the Coppa Italia. The 1993 Supercoppa Italiana final was the closest Francescoli ever came to winning a trophy during his time in Italy, as Torino ultimately lost the title to Milan. With Francescoli, Torino came close to defending the title the following season, but the club was defeated by Ancona in a semi-final upset. The club's Serie A campaign, however, was more eventful, with a heavily contested championship. After initially fighting against relegation, Torino climbed the table to clinch a spot in the next season's UEFA Cup, earning 4 points more than the required amount to qualify for the tournament. In the European Cup Winners' Cup, for which they had qualified the previous season as the 1993 Italian Cup champions, Torino reached the quarter-finals, only to be knocked out against eventual champions, Arsenal. Despite a successful season for the team, Francescoli did not perform as well as in previous seasons from an individual standpoint, as he only scored 3 goals in 24 appearances, his lowest tally during his 4 seasons in the Italian league. Returned to River Plate. In 1994, after an uninspiring season with Torino, Francescoli decided to return to Argentina to play for his former River Plate, at the age of 33, where he had previously expressed his best football. Despite his age, he was determined to demonstrate that he could still compete at the top level, and performed well in the Apertura Championship with the team that year, despite it being only his third time playing in this tournament. The season also marked the first time that River had managed to go undefeated to become the national champions. The team had a less exciting season in 1995, finishing 10th in the Clausura and 7th in the Apertura, while suffering a semi-final elimination against Colombia's Atlético Nacional in the Copa Libertadores. The team had an exceptionally high number of penalties that caused it to suffer in the season, and it was eventually eliminated in the semi-finals by future champions Independiente in the Supercopa Libertadores, in which Francescoli played as striker. That year he was voted South American Player of the Year, and he also received the title of Argentine Player of the Year, 10 years after first receiving it. The next year, he retired from the Celeste to devote himself entirely to River at club level, recapturing his best form, scoring 19 goals in total. This season was his most important. Francescoli led a young, talented, yet inexperienced team to win the 1996 Copa Libertadores title, and his second division title in the league, briefly tying the record of 15 titles set by rivals Boca Juniors. Until 2013, it was the last time the team had topped their group in the tournament. The team produced impressive, albeit not as stellar, performances after the 1996 season, which ended a series of bad performances in the Argentine Championship. Francescoli finished his season with River by suffering a defeat in the 1996 Intercontinental Cup against Italian club Juventus. River Plate had the chance to equal Boca Juniors with 2 Intercontinental Cup titles, but ultimately lost out to the Italian side. On the opposing team from Turin was a substantial fan of Francescoli, Zinedine Zidane. Zidane commented, "When I saw Francescoli play, he was the player I wanted to be. He was the player that I saw and admired at Olympique de Marseille. My idol. I played against him when he was at Juventus. Enzo is like a god." At the end of the year, Francescoli decided to come out of international retirement in order to aid Uruguay in qualifying for the upcoming World Cup in France. The following season, Francescoli suffered further disappointment with a penalty shootout defeat to Racing at the Estadio Monumental, as River were eliminated in the round of 16 of the 1997 Copa Libertadores. However, despite the early exit in the Continental Tournament, River Plate enjoyed much success domestically, following up the 1996 Copa Libertadores title with a fortunate tricampeonatos the next year, the Clausura, Apertura, and the Supercopa Libertadores. After failing to help Uruguay qualify for the 1998 FIFA World Cup, Francescoli announced that he would retire in early 1998, refusing an offer of roughly $1 million to continue, feeling he could not play another year due to continuing injury struggles. Poor sleeping habits caused by stress had forced him to seek therapy since 1996. His legacy had already earned a place next to that of other soccer legends, Angel Labruna, Alfredo Di Stefano and others playing for the Torcedores. His last 2 games for the River Plate Los Millonarios officers were historical. Within 4 days they had won 2 titles. The first, on Wednesday, December 17, 1997, was the deciding second leg of the Supercopa Libertadores against Sao Paulo. It was the last ever edition tournament of the season, and one which River had never won, which presented a situation described as now or never. The Brazilian team, who had drawn in Argentina, were beaten 1-2 at the Monumental de Núñez. On Sunday, the 21st of December, River drew 1-1 with the Argentinos Juniors at the Estadio José Amalfitani and became 1997 Apertura champions, concluding the Argentine Tricampeonatos, beating out arch-rivals Boca Juniors, the other contender for the title, only suffering one defeat in the league. The 2 Olympic titles in 4 days is still an Argentine football club record held by River Plate, and is a source of national pride. On August 1, 1999, he returned to the Monumental for a friendly farewell match. 65,000 spectators were present, among them the President of Argentina, Carlos Menem, and President of Uruguay, Julio Maria Sanguinetti, as well as some fans from his team's arch-rival club, Boca Juniors. The game brought together the friends of River Plate with those of the team he had hoped to play for during his childhood, Peñarol, who won the match 4-0. After the match, the field was taken by thousands of children, for whom Enzo, along with other players, signed autographs, also kicking the ball around with them. Another River Plate legend who came from Uruguay, Walter Gomez, gave the kickoff. When approaching the day of his departure, the Argentine composer Ignacio Copani dedicated his song, In Menso, to Francescoli, ending with the crowd requesting an encore. It is considered one of the most emotional songs written as a tribute to a footballer. Copani also performed the song in another future friendly. After his retirement, the team were only able to succeed locally for some time, failing to impose the same international respect in previous years, later entering a domestic crisis that would culminate in an unprecedented relegation in 2011. Ironically, exactly 15 years to the day after the team had won the 1996 Copa Libertadores with Francescoli. Francescoli is still the team's 7th all-time leading goal scorer, with 115 goals in 198 matches, and is 3rd highest foreign goal scorer in the history of Argentine football, behind only Paraguayans Arsenio Erico and Delfin Benitez Cáceres.